So Mara, could you list what you've been called too much of for me?
Where to begin? Too much of a person, apparently, but also too much of an alien. So no one can decide what species I am, which is kind of useful because then I can do whatever I want. I've been told I'm too much of a brown person, too much of an Asian, too Pakistani, can smell the curry on my clothes. They can, see the backwards culture in my eyes, but the only thing that I see that is backwards is that person. I've been told that I'm too loud, too chatty, too much of a chatterbox, too much of a drama queen, too in your face. But at the same time, people have told me that I'm too quiet on things that matter to them. Things like, what about the white people? I've been told that I'm too much of an activist. My friend actually had an argument with someone because someone said I'm too emotional on Facebook, that I've always got a cause, I'm always talking about an issue, and apparently it's not acceptable for me to do that in my own social media space. People always like to tell me that I'm too much because I think for them they're not seeing enough of what they want, but the only thing I think I'm too much of is I'm too kind, I'm too patient with these people. And my friends say it as well. They say, Maria, how on earth is it that you can get up every day and do everything that you do and ignore these people? You're too patient. You try too hard to understand people. And I think, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. And I don't think I will ever be too kind. So when I was at school, I was called too much of a drama queen by my teacher when I was 10, 9 or 10. And she said that as I sat on the floor holding my hand. What she didn't really realise was that I'd just trapped those two fingers in the hinges of a fire exit door, and my fingers were completely mashed up. And I think that really affected me because it made me think that I'm not allowed to have pain. I'm not allowed to show pain because it's too dramatic. No one wants to really see anyone suffering. And I think that's why people really struggle with adverts and campaigns that show suffering, because they say, is this too much suffering? No one really wants to see this. And I think that made me hide away a lot of my pain. And I think that's why when I've been so depressed and so anxious and really struggling with my mental health and my mental well-being, that I've hidden it away, because I think people will think I'm being too dramatic. People will think I'm making an issue out of nothing. People will think that I'm not really unwell and I have some invisible illnesses beyond my mental illnesses, that people always go, you're too young to be unwell, you're too young to be taking so much medication, you're too young to be unwell. And when they say stuff like that, it makes me want to hide all my issues away, because I feel like I'm not justified in expressing them or complaining or, being worried about myself. So I think in life I've never really divulged what I'm going through in terms of my health, because I'm worried about the reaction. You can ask me about a lot of things and I'll be so open. I'm so open all the time. I just speak so easily to strangers, but I never actually tell them what's really going on, because I don't think anyone wants to know, or that if they did know, they don't want to hear it. Ooh, this is a good question. I love so much about what I've been called too much of, because to me it just tells me I'm doing my life right. If people tell me I'm too Asian, too brown, too Pakistani, I'm too much of a cultural thing, then I go, great, that means I am actually expressing that part of me somehow, and I'm not holding it back for anyone. I want to be proud of all aspects of my identity. I don't want to have to hide them in order to seem a certain way. When people tell me that, oh, you're too much of a chatterbox, you're too loud, you're too much of an activist, I go, great, that's good. Keep saying that, because it drives me. It makes me understand what people are actually thinking when I talk. And it reminds me that the battle is far from over. Because if these seemingly, unassumingly nice people in your life have that much vitriol for everything you do to try and change the world, then it's just kind of demonstrative of the fact that there is so much change yet to come. And I'm really glad that I get to be one of the people who help bring about that change. When people say, oh, you're too weird, you're so weird, how can you be non-binary? That doesn't even exist, that's just made up. Why are you doing this? Why are you an attention seeker? You're too much of an attention seeker. You take up too much of the spotlight. You always have to be there in the middle, right in the middle of everything. You have to say something. You have to do something. Why do you always have to do something? Why can't you just be quiet? Why can't you be quiet like the rest of us? Why do we have to struggle silently when you can struggle openly? Why do you have to talk? And I just think, everything you say there just tells me that maybe you are worried that you don't speak enough. It's not me who's speaking too much, you're not speaking enough. But obviously anything I say will seem superfluous to you because you've limited yourself. And it just reminds me to be patient with others, because when people are complaining about me, to me, for me, I think, wow, there's something going on with you. Doesn't matter what, but it's your problem, not mine, because my only problem is getting up every day, making sure I'm wearing clean clothes, eaten, spoken to people I care about, and done something I believe in. I don't really have time or energy for these other people, and I'm actually really glad that people are always on my case, because it just reminds me how futile life is, and the fact that I have to put myself first, because if I don't, I'll get swept under all these comments, the tide of hatred, and I won't actually have a chance to breathe or even stay afloat. When people tell me I'm too much of something, I remember. I don't forget. I don't think many people really forget. You hold on to these memories for life. And actually, they help me become a better, more realised version of myself. So I hung on to someone telling me that I sing too low, I'm too manly. I even had a teacher who literally would call me a boy, because I played the role of a boy in a role play once because I really didn't care. So for 2 years, she'd come into the class, I went to a girls' school, and go, hello girls and boy, and things like that. I remembered those, but I used them for strength. I thought, it's just weird how people are so obsessed with me. Why? And I just think, they've obviously got nothing better to do. I should never let myself become obsessed with them. And it really helped me, especially recently when I've really started to find the space to be myself and enjoy being myself. So when I decided to do an open mic for the first time, I realised I wasn't thinking about what that girl had said to me 10 years ago. I was thinking about the fact that I was in a room full of people who loved me and wanted to see me celebrate myself and music. And I think that's when I realised that even though I remember all these times that people have said I'm too much of something, over time I've come to understand that it's not a bad thing, that you can never be too much, that everything these people say I am doesn't mean I have to change myself. So when people would say, oh, you're too arrogant, but then later on say, you're too modest, I realised this is just people tugging me in multiple different directions, hoping I'll break. And I don't want to break. I never feel well put together, but I'm not breaking. And I just want to make sure that throughout my life, I'm staying true to myself. Because if all these people are telling me, you're too much this, you're too much that, then I'll get lost. I won't know who I am because I'll be stuck with their preconceptions of me. And if in my life there are people who are always telling me that there are barriers to my ambitions, to my happiness, to my contentment, if they're always telling me that I'll never succeed because I'm too brown, because I'm too Muslim, because I'm not white enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, then I might as well do whatever the hell I want and know that what I'm doing is for a good purpose and that I can use these frustrations to help fuel myself and others. So when I go and give talks to people who are my peers or people who've been through similar things to me, I make a point of telling them all the times that someone told me I was too much and then saying, but look at where I'm sat right now. Did it matter? No. Did it make a difference? Yeah, because it made me seek out every single possible opportunity I could to be who I wanted to be. And when people wanted to limit me and continue to do so, now I have an arsenal in myself of all the different things people have said to me and all the ways that I've overcome those things. Not in order to prove something to them, but because just naturally I have. And so now I feel like I can weaponize all those times people have said I'm too much, but use it for a better purpose than to bring someone else down. I'd say if someone has been saying you're too much of something and you're at a time when you're questioning who you are, you're trying to find your place in society, within your friends, within your school, wherever you are, you'll always be trying to find your place. Your teens are not the end all and be all of your life. It's not where you come out at like 18 and there's a stamp going, yes, congrats, you have successfully completed the formulation part of your life. These people who say you're too much, they're saying it for their own reasons, and it's important to understand why it bothers you. It's going to take time, you're not going to know straight away why it bothers you, but maybe with time you'll understand the reason why it bothers you is because it's effectively them trying to silence you and decide who you are. If there's something that you really care about, something that you love, or maybe you're depressed and the things that you used to like don't matter anymore, it's fine. It really is fine. There doesn't have to be a secret thing that makes you you. There doesn't have to be a, oh no, if I'm not reading, if I'm not writing, if I'm not singing, if I'm not dancing, that means I'm not being myself. You're always being yourself. Every time you react to something someone says to you, the way you react is you being yourself. Every time that you cover yourself or kind of shield yourself in front of another person, you're being yourself. Everything you do is you. And when you understand that, I think you start to realize, well, no one can stop me from being me because I exist. And whilst it might be very hard to understand that you exist because, oh my god, existential crises, it's so much nicer to know that you are you and that you don't have to be controlled by everyone else. If I could change the world tomorrow, I wouldn't actually change the people in it because that's a bit weird, bit obsessive, power hungry people thing to do. I definitely change a lot of laws, and I change the way that human rights are expressed as something that happens somewhere else, that they're only ever violated in other places. I change the way that we educate ourselves about rights and the way that we perceive rights, because sometimes people go, oh, I don't have rights. No. You always have those rights. The difference is whether you are allowed access to them and whether whether the state or whether the government, whether whoever's in charge is letting you fulfill them. And I think once we get that attitude, especially within schools, I think people will start to realize that they don't have to ask for a right, because it is their right. They just need to start asserting them. And beyond obviously all the small things about, more inclusive laws and things like that, I think that's the biggest thing we need to change, is how we approach the idea of human rights, and the fact that human rights defenders aren't just people in China, in Malaysia, in other countries. They're also here, and I'm one of them. Let me tell you what depression is. Depression is a plate blushing red under dirt. Closed off curtains hiding a mess. A window you know is there but never see. A light you never turn on because it burns, and a step with too much dust on it. A car that never gets warm. A duvet you are always pulling. A song in the shower that makes you feel dirty. A crown of hair befitting for the dead. Cheeks that sting. Eyes rigid in sockets. A phone forever silent. Clean mugs. Unused tea bags. Lists. Doorbells blinking. Held breath. A smell hanging in the air. A rattle of the letterbox. Concern, confusion, lights, camera, actions, questions, being late, too late, no answer, there's no answer, there's no one to open the door, not even depression, not even me, not even my friends from around the corner, not my family, not my boyfriend, neither a cat nor a goldfish, not the teachers, nor the neighbours, not even the postman can tell you where I have been. Where have I been? Tell me, where have I been? I've been lost in darkness, shroud on my shoulders, my lips in the water, my nostrils breathing cold air. My hands are tied, my heart is bruised. I'm tired, but I cannot sleep. I'm tired, but I have no dreams. I'm tired, and everything feels too far away, but I can hear your sadness. You bore into me with searching eyes. Looking for signs, wondering why. You saw. I screamed, but you didn't hear me. Please come and find me, please. Find me, please. Because depression is not silent. It isn't a cloaked figure with scythe in hand. It's in my smile, my warm hugs, my offers of shared biscuits, my clothes, my smell, my blood, my love for you. It's depression of my entire life. Compression of my entire soul. Hesitation and repetition and evasion and reputation. It's heartening, heartbreaking, quickening, infuriating. It's cold, dark, warm, light, bright, and right there. Depression is a plate blushing red with dirt. Wash the plate and dry it, and then sit with me. Sit with us.